Shalom Aleichem, everyone. A big thank you to Gedalia for doing the Mishna Yomis, and thank you to all of you for supporting the Minyan throughout Yom Tov. Rabbi Hach spoke over Yom Tov. Rabbi Hach, thank you for speaking. Regards from Saba. He sends everybody regards. He's having a nice Yom Tov. And we're going to learn specially for my shver. My shver had an emergency surgery over Yom Tov. And that's why I'm back. We came to visit him in the hospital. He's recovering nicely. He'll still be there in the hospital over Yom Tov. His son Tzvi will stay with him over Yom Tov. But we expect to see him back shortly. So his name is Avigdor Aryeh ben Rivka. So we learn for his Refuah Shalema. We are sponsored by the Fisher family, Lili Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shlomo ben Aram Alevi, Pel Bas Ruvain, Lili Nishmas David ben Chaim, Refuah Shalema Fel Miyom Moshe ben Chayesor, Yaakov ben Bas Yeleah, Schlusav Avram ben Yom ben Shmuel Malk Yehudis, for by Yol Klugman and family, and Refuah Shalema for Chana Bas Shashabina, for Rivka Bas Shiraleah, for Mishna ben Esther Fradel, Meir ben Chayesor. They should have a refuah shalema b'sech she'achad Yisrael. We are holding Mishnah Hey, and Mishnah Vav. So Hayed Rabbi Akiva mishum Nechemya ish beis Deli. Rabbi Akiva testified in the name of Nechemya ish beis Deli, an important man from beis Deli, and this is something that we learned recently already in this Masechta. Shemasiyin ha'isha al pi eid echad, that if one witness comes and says that her husband died, even though normally we can't believe by a davar shebe'erva one witness, because ain't davar shebe'erva pochas mishnayim, but mipnei iguna hekilu, because she shouldn't remain an iguna, anchored, unmarried her whole life, we allow one witness to be enough, especially because of the consideration that Isha Daika Uminsava, the woman will make a thorough investigation before remarrying, because if she remarries and her first husband comes back, she loses everything. She has to leave her second husband, she has to leave her first husband, the children from the second husband are mamzerim, so she's going to be very careful before she gets married. Hayed Rabbi Yeshua, this was a interesting thing. In the woodshed of the Beis Hamikdash, there are different lishkais. In the lishkas ha'etzim, they found bones. So this brought to surface many worries. First, there was a worry if anything in the lishkas ha'etzim, any kalim, should be considered tamei because they might have came into contact with the bones. Secondly, it brought to them a worry that maybe they should worry about bones throughout Yerushalayim and be geyser a suffix tumah unless they dig up the areas to see if there's no bones. So Hayed Rabbi Yeshua al Atzamais shenimtzu b'dir ha'etzim. Rabbi Yeshua testified about bones that were found in the woodshed of the Beis Hamikdash. This was in the northeastern part of the Ezras Noshim. Amru chachamim malaket etzem etzem. He could gather bone by bone. Vakoltar, meaning you don't have to worry about the existence of any other bones, and any kalim that are there, since the woodshed is considered Rishus Harabim, Safek Tumah Rishus Harabim is tar, none of the kalim are considered tamei, and as for worrying about the rest of Yerushalayim, Rabbi Yeshua made an announcement, would it be a shame and a disgrace, that we should be geyser tumah on the city of our ancestors? Rather, we say that Klal Yisrael checked and dug around Yerushalayim, and that Yerushalayim is considered free from such tumah. Mishna Vav tells us, Amar Rabbi Elazar Shamati, Kishahayu Bainim Baheichel. This is talking about when they rebuilt the Beis Hamikdash at the time of Ezra, and they wanted to immediately be able to bring karbanos. Now, to be able to bring karbanos, you needed to have the kedusha of the heichel first to be chal, and the kedusha of the azara, and only then would you be able to bring karbanos. So they didn't want to have to wait until the construction was finished. So instead, they put up curtains. They put up curtains around the temple area, and they put up curtains around the azara, and that was enough to sanctify the interior areas so that they should be able to bring karbanos. However, there was a difference between the setup of the curtains around the heichel, which the heichel here means the whole complex, the ulam, the kodesh, and the kodesh kodashim, and the way they set up the curtains around the azara. The curtains that they set up around the heichel were set up outside of the dimensions, were set up inside the dimensions of the heichel. In other words, a little bit within, so that they built the walls outside, and that way the workers did not feast their eyes on any place that has the Kedushas heichel. The Azara we weren't worried about, so by the Azara they made the curtains outside of the border of the Azara, and they built it inside. That they were able to do. And that's what the Mishnah says. Let's see it inside. Amar Rabbi Elazar Shamati Kishayabaynim Baheichel Oisim Kloim Laheichel. They made curtains around the area of the actual temple. Ukloim Lazaris, and also curtain around the temple courtyard. Ela Shebeheichel, when it came to the temple complex, Bainim Mibachutz. They brought in the curtains a little bit within, and they built the wall around the curtains, and this way they built on the outside of the curtains. They brought the curtains within the shear of where it is, and they built outside it. This way, they didn't feast their eyes on the interior of the heichel. By the azara, they put the curtains outside of the shear of where the wall of the azara was supposed to be, and they built it within the curtains because it's okay for them to be inside the azara. The azara they built on the inside. Rabbi Yeshua says it wasn't necessary to put up the curtains. It wasn't necessary. They were able to bring the karbanos even without the curtains there. They were able to eat Ma'aser Sheni and Kachim Kalim even without the walls of Yerushalayim. Shamati Shemakriven Afal Pi Shein Bayis. They were allowed to do the Hakrava even if they didn't make these kloyim in order to be chal a kedushas bayis. The oichlim kachim, and they could eat kachim could only be eaten within the azar. They could eat kachim like an oshim, like a chatas, like a mincha, afal pi she'en kloim, even though there weren't curtains around the azara. And kachim kalam u'ma'aser sheni, they could eat the shlamim meat, they could eat the ma'aser sheni, which could only be eaten in the old city, afal pi she'en chayma, even though there's no wall. Why? Shekedusha Rishayna, the first kedusha that Shlomo HaMelech did when he built the Beis Hamikdash, Kitchel L'Shata, was Kaddish for its time, the Kitchel Asad Lavai, and it remained, and therefore there was no reason to build the curtains. Amir Hashem at 8:15 we will have the Daf Yomi here, and again it's wonderful to see everybody. Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha